I grew up when there weren't a lot of Asian people at all in Slough, let alone my school. I was probably ashamed to admit that I was from Pakistan because there were lots of name calling. You know, I was called a Paki. So anything that drew attention to me, like henna, I just didn't wear because it sort of singled me out from other people, and I just wanted to blend in, really. I didn't want anyone to know that I was from Pakistan. And I was telling Kim this, I actually gave myself a nickname. I didn't tell people my name was Rifat, I told them my name was Kim. Because they couldn't say my name right, you know, I had a funny name, I smelt funny, I ate funny food. Yeah, so henna, you know, having henna on your hand, I remember once I did have it on, I went to school with it and all the children were like, ew, what's that? She's got skin disease in her hand, and they just wouldn't come over to me at all.
So, through the late 60s and early 70s, which would have been the period when the Beatles were bringing back yoga and vegetarianism and visiting India, there was a reaction against people who were actually ethnically Indian or Pakistani and showed it by how they walked, how they dressed.
How they dressed, yeah. I mean, we would never wear our Asian clothes, for instance. You just couldn't celebrate the fact that you were Asian.
So it was okay for the Beatles, but not okay for you.
Yeah, if you were actually really Asian, then, you know, well, in Slough, I'm not talking about the whole of the UK, but that's what it was like in Slough.
Weddings, yeah. We would go back with our blogs and things, and you'd say, oh, what's that? And you'd have to try and, even the teacher said, go and take it off. And you said, well, you can't take it off.
Okay, so there was no comprehension of what it was, and the reaction was negative or mild curiosity?
Yeah. It's negative. So, oh, it looks disgusting. It looks like it.
At what point did you see an attitude change?
I think it's like Helen said, it was round about Madonna time. But I get this at work now. Some of the women, because I'm the only Indian person in the whole of the firm where I am now, and when they see this, some of them will say, yeah, that's really nice, and some of them will say, what can we do with that? They're still negative about it, even now, even though they know about it, and they've seen it on telly, they've seen it advertised, they're still, oh no, I couldn't have that on my hands. I still get that. I heard that today.
Yeah, just little things.
How easily available was information on how to improve?
It wasn't. Nobody wanted to share information with you. Nobody wanted to tell you how to get a dark colour. Nobody wanted to tell you how to do silly little things like flicks. Nobody would actually sit down and explain to you. There's one lady who I used to work in her salon, just learning the basics on, like, you know, how to wax and thread and everything. And I kept begging her and begging her, look, you know, can you show me how you do the mehndi? You know, I'm really, really interested. She would never, ever, ever. She wouldn't take me out with her to sort of see her do the work. But the funny thing now is that I'm not trying to sound big-headed, but when I sort of go into her shop now and I've got henna on my hand, and you see the pictures that she's got on her wall, it's just like, well, whatever. And she'll sort of look at my work and she'll, oh, you know, why don't you come in one day? You know, we can sit down and we can learn from each other. It's like, you get stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
most people are a bit confused, especially where I am, where there's a very, very small ethnic community. It's mainly white people, and they want to look, but they don't want to be seen to be looking, and they want to say something, but they're not sure what they should say. Some people will say, oh, what's that? And, you know, then have a closer look. Other people go, oh, poor thing, what's wrong with your hand? And so, some people will go, you're wearing lovely, pretty gloves. And I go, no, it's henna. and so it is a confused reaction. But once people know what it is, and I've done my little 20-second explanation, they usually say, wow, that's interesting.
It doesn't happen a whole lot. Most of the time, I always call it the bear on the bicycle syndrome, because they know that I'm white. They're like, you wouldn't believe what I found, sort of. So when I arrive, most people are very interested in watching because some people are just like, no, you're just kidding me, that can be a white girl, or, you know, they just don't, and the worst case, like, they just don't know that it could possibly be me, and then there's acceptance. But the worst one was one lady who did hire me sight unseen. And when I came to the door, she had the plastic smile on, oh my God, how do I get this woman out of my living room without looking rude? And she just had terror in her eyes, and I don't blame her. It would be, at first, at least in her eyes, if you were getting married and the woman sewing your wedding dress showed up in a burlap sack, you'd be pretty nervous too. Well, how could I possibly know what I was doing? I was white. I sat down, I just bombarded her with here's some patterns and started. By the end of the first hand, she had it raised and was showing everybody, oh my God, isn't this beautiful, and everything else. And I was just about adopted. But she was looking like a rabbit trying to escape. She was just wanting me out of her house so bad when I got out there, and she just couldn't believe that somehow she'd managed to get this person in her house to do her henna. She got over it, but it was terrifying for me because I was convinced I was about to be bounced out of the house. I was convinced it was that close.